All right, this is 7.2, ambiguous case for law of signs. It just goes right along with it, with law of signs from 7.1. It's pretty simple as far as the actual math goes. The understanding of it might be a little difficult, so let me explain first. So all of the law of signs that we did in 7.1 were all, if you remember back to geometry, when you were finding congruence of triangles, if you remember, there was angle, side, angle. So there was side, side, side. And there was side, angle, side. Two sides with the included angle. One congruency that did not exist was side, side, angle. Or if you read it backwards, that does not exist in geometry. That same thing will create what we call ambiguous case in law of signs. So if we get that situation, if those are the known values that we have, we can still do law of signs, but the problem is it's going to give us what we call an ambiguous answer. Now we can fix it, and that's what this is about. So if you get an ambiguous, this little chart is just to kind of show you what the possibilities are. If you get a triangle set up and what you have been given is angle, side, side, so two sides and a non-included angle, then that means you're dealing with ambiguous case. If you set up law of signs and you determine that your triangle is acute, there are these possibilities. That could mean that there really are no triangles that work. There could be just one triangle that works, or it's possible that you could have two resulting triangles and you need to make sure that you have them both. And I'll show you how that all works. If you have an obtuse triangle, so you've got one angle that is obtuse, then it's possible that none of the triangles actually work, or that you have just one. So you don't need to memorize this chart at all. I just wanted to kind of show you what it looks like. So here's what you really need to remember when you're applying the law of signs. First of all, this is really hugely important. Sign has to be between 0 and 1. If you are calculating law of signs and your sine theta comes out to equal something greater than 1, then that is your indication right there that you don't have any triangles. You're dealing with ambiguous case and none of the triangles actually work. Remember that sine theta, if that equals 1, then we're dealing with a 90-degree angle and your triangle is a right triangle. Another thing to remember is that sine theta is equal to sine of 180 minus theta, which means that supplementary angles have the exact same sine value. Now here's what actually causes ambiguous case. Because your calculator can only tell you one value at a time. So even though there's two acute angles that have the same sine value, it's only going to give you one of the two. And you need them both. So that's what causes ambiguous case. So you need to remember that. And then the smallest side is always opposite the shortest. The smallest angle is always opposite the shortest side. The longest side is always opposite the largest angle. And that means the intermediate side is always opposite the medium angle. If it looks like your information is not that, then that means it can't be a triangle, because that's how triangles work. Otherwise, the triangle wouldn't close all the way. All right, so with all that said, let's do one. And I think it'll start to make a little bit of sense to you, maybe, I hope, if we do one. All right, so we're gonna solve triangle ABC. So I am just gonna draw a triangle real quick. Triangle ABC, pretend that is perfect. Now, you have to remember when you draw your triangle, you are just drawing your triangle for the setup of what it might look like. This might be, when I solve it all out, it might be an obtuse triangle, and that means my picture is no good at all, but it doesn't really matter because I just need the setup. So here's angle A, angle B, and angle C. I know side B. So I know my side B, I know this angle, and I know side A. All right, so it looks like in this case, I do have ambiguous case possibility because I have side, side, angle. Two sides and a non-included angle, which means I'm going to have ambiguous case. That's okay though. I'm going to go ahead and set it up, and we'll see what happens. So they want me to solve the triangle. So let's just say, because I have side C, or actually, what do I have? I have side A. Ooh, I wrote that in the wrong place. Glad I just saw that. Y'all were probably going, what the heck is she doing? Okay, so I have side A, so that should be over here. It's still ambiguous, guys. It's still side-side angle. I just wrote it in the wrong place. All right, so since I have side A, let's go ahead and find, let's say we're gonna find angle A first. So we're gonna do sine of angle A. Remember, I'm gonna put my unknown on top, just makes the algebra a little easier. And that's gonna be 25.1 on bottom equals sine of B on top. So sine of 55 degrees, 40 minutes on top of side B. Do all the algebra first. So that's going to give me 25.1 times sine 55 degrees, 40 minutes equals 8.94 sine A. All right, I'm going to divide by 8.94. All right, so that leaves me sine A. Okay, so all of this, 25.1 sine 55 degrees, 40 minutes over 8.94 equals sine A. So I've got to arc sine that in order to find what my angle is. So I'm going to arc sine both sides. And that means this is what I'm putting in my calculator, arc sine of all of this. So let's pull up our calculator. Make sure you can see it. I don't want to be huge. Hello, I'm huge. Okay. All right, can you see my screen? I think, I hope. Okay. All right, so let's turn on. We'll plug all this into your calculator again. Make sure you're in degree mode. I am alpha y equals, nope, not yet, sorry. Second and sine, so I've got arc sine, now alpha y equals. I'm gonna plug all this stuff in, 25.1 sine 55 degrees, 40 minutes over 8.91. All right, when I do that, I get an error. Wonder why I might get an error. It is not because you did something wrong. So let me show you why you got an error. Without doing the arc sine portion of this, let me see if it'll let me just grab. I wonder if it'll let me do this. I'm gonna try something real quick. If I hit enter, can I delete? No, won't let me. Okay, so let me just enter the all of this, 25.1 sine 55 degrees, $40 minutes over 8.94. And I get 2.318. And remember, that would be if I'd gone back to, let me erase so I can make sure you understand what I just did. All right, so if instead of arc signing right then, if what I had done would have been just to go ahead and plug all this into my calculator, I would have gotten that 2.38, which would mean I would have sine A equals 2.38. Well, remember what we did in our rules, sine cannot be greater than 1. So that means there is no triangle. So, I mean, obviously it says that right there. But just remember that when you plug stuff in your calculator, if it gives you an error, that doesn't necessarily mean that you did something wrong. It's possible that it's no triangle. So, because of ambiguous case, check and make sure that what you have is this situation, because that is going to possibly create an ambiguous triangle. And so if you've got a situation like this and you get an error message in your calculator, then it's no triangle. All right, so that's all for that kind, and I'll